Hey, I'm Michael Robinson coming to you from my kitchen, but I'm not cooking anything. Promise you that. We're talking about careers. Before I talk to you about managing your career in 2019 and being proactive about that, and I mentioned that you need to think like a business person if you want to succeed in your career. And business people do not sit around and wait on things to happen to shape the narrative of their business, right? They go out there and they think about strategies and implement those strategies. So the first thing you have to do is never put your career in the hands of an employer or fate, right? You have to literally go out there and do something about shaping the narrative of your career moving forward. Remember when you go on that job interview and that employer said to you, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? And you come up with brilliant answers that are oftentimes impressive and can be the difference between getting that job or not. You get the job and all of those things go out of the window, right? That happens to everybody. But that's not a bad thing because we want to find employment and we do oftentimes what's necessary to impress an employer. But the key thing to remember moving forward is that you need to stay in the know. You need to know what's happening in your career field, in your line of work, what trends are happening out there, what sort of new skills are coming up that you might need to have a better handle on because it gives you that competitive advantage. You want to know what companies are offering folks like you in terms of a salary. You want to make sure that you're not being underpaid, right? Even though many of us feel like we're being underpaid, but you want to make sure that the compensation you're getting is a fair compensation compared to the market. And you also want to be in the know regarding your company. You want to know what's happening with the organization. Is it going through a merger? Is it going through some sort of a downsizing? And if so, what does that mean when it comes to your job? Should you be thinking of jumping ship in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 2 months' time? These are all crucial things to be cognizant of. The other thing is that you don't want to be a jumper. Don't jump from career to career just because you can, but make sure it's a legitimate reason. So one of the things I don't like seeing on resumes is if I'm looking at a 10-year span and I see somebody has worked 9 months and 1 year and 7 months and a year and a half, it gives me a feeling that the person may not stick around. And employers like when somebody has consistency on his or her resume. So make sure that if you leave an employer, it is for a good reason and you can articulate that in a way that makes sense to everybody. And try to stay with a company as long as you can, providing you're growing and thriving and evolving, financially, intellectually, emotionally, and otherwise. The other thing is that you want to also update your resume skill sets as much as you can. Oftentimes we forget the things we've done on the job. We end up finding one day that we've lost the job and we have to run and find that resume that God knows where the resume is, and we have to update it and we forget some of the skill sets that we've learned. So constantly update your resume. And have a recruiter in your back pocket that you can actually shuttle that resume to on a regular basis, maybe every 2 months, and say, these are the things that I've learned and I've updated. If you want, please just keep me in the loop. But either I'm not looking right now, I'll tell you when I'm looking, because sometimes recruiters can be pushy. I know that personally. And, just have that person in your back pocket, because networking with that individual and having that person in your corner can be the difference between making a nice transition from one job to the next. And the other thing that you want to do is network, right? We think about networking from going to an event and giving out business cards, but networking can be right here on social media. Tell people what you're doing on your job that's monumental, that's shifting the narrative in the workplace, right? It doesn't have to be giving out company secrets, of course, or giving out specific details, but if you tell us what you do, think about how a potential employer might be looking at that and thinking, I want to have him working for me, or I want to have her working for me moving forward. So use social media as a good way to promote what you do at work, not necessarily, what you're drinking for your cocktails or what you did the night before, even though those things are great too. But certainly use it as a good way to promote your skill sets and your capabilities and your talent to not just the world, but potential employers moving forward. So until next time, I'm Michael Robinson. Don't forget, catch me on Microbin Radio every day. I'm live. It's Microbin Radio. Download our free app from the App Store or Google Play.